The concept was initiated by a Marshall Foundation advisor, General Paul F. Gorman. General Gorman has been an innovator throughout his Army career, and because of his familiarity with the Marshall Foundation's collection of World War I and World War II maps, photographs, and memoirs, he saw the ability of the Marshall Foundation to provide that information so that that could be integrated with current technology. The advantage of the virtual staff ride, it is not a lecture. It is also not a PowerPoint presentation with just audio and video integrated. It is a Socratic method. It is experiential learning. The students know that when they come in for the virtual staff ride, that they will be playing the role of an individual who participated in the battle.
The process that I use to facilitate the VSR is a pretty simple model. The first thing I do is I set up the scenario, give them an overview of the country, that in this case the one I do on Operation Anaconda, of Afghanistan. Then I get them into the battle. I switch their thinking from the Navy SEAL to the QRF, in this case Captain Nate Self, and then they start realizing in this process that they are going to be making the decisions throughout this process, and so they're in the soup of it.
Yep, they just looked at it. There is no time disparity between when the AC-130 gunship looked at Takakar and the insertion. They just received it.
I see what you're saying. So he's saying, like,
Providing this virtual staff ride in the manner that we do incorporates all media, all senses. They're flying the terrain. They are as if they were sitting in the cockpit with Captain Nate Self. They're seeing the soldiers that were wounded and what they were thinking as they continued the battle. Usual staff rides, you walk a terrain and you have some very good historian that gives an account of the battle, and with virtual staff rides, there are so many other inputs that enables them to be able to process data quicker and more data quickly, that they can actually come up with probably a pretty good assessment of what's going on. So it's not just a two-dimensional display, it's a three-dimensional display of what's happening and where they're actually making the decisions. Once I've set the groundwork, they start asking the questions.
Led by Nate Self in one helicopter, the other half the Rangers in the second. Yes.
How long can birds stay in the air?
These are Task Force MH-47 Echoes. They have a duration of 2,000 gallons for 4 hours.
So they start, and they realize that I'm approachable for this method. And then they'll start asking the questions on what's available for them. What's the terrain like in this area? What's the sunrise time or sunset times? And once they get all that, then they actually engage themselves because they realize they're a part of the process. I come out at the beginning making them part of the process. When I show them Google Earth and what Afghanistan looks like, I say, does anybody see anything that resembles Phoenix, Arizona, or your hometown or whatever? I get them involved and we'll do a little banter back and forth, but they've always are part of that process. And then after I give them a tour of the country, I say, is there anything else you want to look at? And we talk about infrastructure, some lakes, some dams. I take them to the dam that the Soviets made in the 80s, so that they get to see the country, they ask their questions, and they're realizing that they're comfortable, that this is a process that they can ask any question and make their decisions.
The rest of his Ranger Quick Reaction Force.
Sun is up. You still know what the mission is? 6 hours or 2 liter. What are you going to do?
Yeah, that's right. They know you're heading.
It's a very intense process. You couldn't get there if we were just doing a briefing. You could only get there by involving all aspects of that information coming in. After one of the participants in the VSR for Roberts Ridge had graduated the Virginia Military Institute, he went to his BOLIC, which is his next phase of leadership training, and he had another virtual staff ride on Roberts Ridge. He wrote me an email in comparing the two and wanted to compliment me because the one that he had just received did not focus on the second lieutenants, and it was a very lectural, or it was a lecture setting. So what we do is more of the tactics focused lieutenant captain level, and it's very engaging. So he just wanted to make sure that I knew that we hit it out of the park. It was a home run.